Happy Friday! This would be FF episode 1390. 1390, just 10 away from 1400. Café Anyway!
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine? Hey, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valleymont. Today, here at the last place on earth, we will hear from Bison, Bentley, Valentino, Madame Rootabega, plus the segment, a fine article with some interesting articles in the news today that made me go wow when I read them. You know, today is Friday, and I'm so happy about that. Mike's Daily Podcast. I did that cartoon yesterday about French fries and the disgruntled fiddle player, but little did I know that yesterday was Mike's Daily Podcast, National French Fry Day, which means that you got to eat those potatoes and they're full of crispy, and that's because sometimes it get a little bit wispy. Anyway, at Cafe Anyway, and I sing this song, and people say to me, "Wow, those songs are really wrong." And I say, you know what, you guys, the Belgians in the Congo. Mike's Daily Podcast. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning, huh? Mike's. Well, I guess Daily that's pretty much the end podcast of that show. Let's lock that show up. Or that song. We've locked the song up. So yeah. Trump was in France. We talked about that last show. I drew a picture. I didn't know, and I made a joke about how, conservatives got so mad at France around the time of the Iraqi war because France was like, we're not going to participate in this stupid war that George W. Bush made up. Look who walked in. And so all the conservatives got so mad here in the U.S. going, oh, I'm not going to eat French fries. I'll eat freedom fries, though. Yeah, you will, because you could never not eat French fries, you fat old white guy who loves freaking huge fatty foods. I feel you. So look, walked in. Hello, Michael Masters, Madame Rootabega, and I was just walking in as this guy was walking in. We were all walking in French fries. Hello there, Mike. It's Valentino, the parking attendant. And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Mike, we really like the French fries. We go nuts for them. Yeah! Especially when they got gravy in them. Do you know that? Is you blind? You know, that's a good question. And I think I had a wonderful talk with Sylvia, my only podcast listener, on the yesterday as we hung out with the wonderful Basil the Boxer. He had a few things to add to our conversation when we were...
And here's today's podcast picture.
That was Basil translation saying, hey, Mike, what's your podcast picture? Tell us now. Well, Basil, it's not you. You're not in this picture today, but I know you were there when I took this picture. It's a beautiful little marina in Alameda, and I took one. Did I use this one already? I don't think I used this particular one. I might have to double check that. If this is if I've used this picture, I will use something else, but that's the podcast picture today. Yeah, so Sylvia and I discussed all kinds of wonderful things, discussing religion, the different religions, and how people use religion in their lives, and how some people are really judgmental about other people's religions, and just, it's just a fascinating thing. Humans are fascinating, aren't we? The things oh, yes. Okay, I used it. Alameda Shoreline Park. I used this picture a different angle, but the other picture I used was not as the sun was actually setting. So there's some beautiful colors in the sky. And so check that picture out now at mikesdailypodcast.com. And there's all this other stuff too. If you want to do any shopping, hey, we went up one person on Facebook. Yay! Somebody likes us. We have one more Facebook fan. That's a good thing. Almost to 130 fans. So close, yet so far. Someday we'll get there. And then we'll go 130 fans. But yeah, Mike'sDailyPodcast.com if you want to shop on... what's that wonderful... that website that starts with an A that everybody goes to buy things, and they've got... their stock has gone through the roof. Well, you can go through Mike'sDailyPodcast.com, and that helps us out with that Amazon link. We've been doing that for years now. That's probably why Amazon's gotten so successful. It's because of Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. I'm deluded. Then there is the donate button for PayPal. PayPal just signed a huge deal with, who was it? Some big company, and American Express or somebody. I forget who, but anyway, PayPal's on their way up too. And you can donate through that on Mike'sDailyPodcast.com and become a special Mike's Daily Podcaster, and you get a personalized MP3 for thee from all the Café Anyway characters. See all the past podcast pictures too at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. And now the segment called
A Fine Article.
You silly, great, fat article.
It all begins with a little bit of Yellen. A little bit of Janet Yellen and her awesome little helmet of gray hair. And her fantastic views on financial things. She said yesterday the central bank was prepared to act against directors of Wells Fargo if an investigation deems it appropriate, under questioning by Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. Janet Yellen said of the bank's creation of millions of fake accounts that she could not comment on details of the Fed's supervision of Wells Fargo. But, quote, "We do have the power to remove directors," she said. "We need to conduct a thorough investigation to look at the full record. We are certainly prepared to take enforcement actions." Wow. Wow. She's powerful. Look out, Wells Fargo. You done messed in the bank bin, and now you're going to have to pay for it. But then British Prime Minister Theresa May, another powerful woman, said she cried a little tear when an exit poll revealed she had failed to win an overall majority in the June 8 snap election. It was a snap election.
Oh, snap.
May told BBC Radio that she felt devastated when the results came in, revealing she had lost her parliamentary majority despite her call on Britons to give her a strong mandate to negotiate Britain's exit from the European Union. She said her campaign was not perfect, but said she expected that her party would increase its majority, and said her husband Philip told her the result of the exit poll and then gave her a hug to console her. When the result came through, it was a complete shock. She said it took a few minutes for it to sink in and what it was telling me. May forced calls to quit from inside and outside her ruling Conservative Party. Oh, she faced calls to quit. And after losing its majority, the Conservative Party lost their majority in an election she did not need to call. And it plunged Britain into the worst political instability for decades. When it came to the actual result, there were a lot of people within the party who had been very close to the campaign who were generally shocked by the result as it came through. And she said she had not considered stepping down and declined to say how much longer she would remain in power. I still see there's a lot we need to do, and as Prime Minister, I want to get on with that job of changing people's lives for the better. This is according to Reuters. And in Portland, Oregon, which is I enjoy that town, but it's had some, controversy and sad events happening in the past couple of months. That crazy white supremacist who killed 2 people on one of the trains, one of their public transit systems. Portland is well known as a tree-hugging, outdoorsy city, but the river that powers through its downtown has never been part of that green reputation. The Willamette River, I believe is how you call it, I went once, and I think somebody told me that's how you said it when I was there. People have been repulsed by the idea of swimming in it because of all the leaky sewage overflows that create a bacterial stew. Now the recent completion of a $1.4 billion sewage pipe has flushed those worries, and the river is enjoying a rapid renaissance of swimming. The city has partnered with a civic group called the Human Access Project to entice residents into the Willamette this summer with a roster of public swimming events and a flood of announcements that the river finally is safe for human use. The campaign is aimed at reversing the impact of decades of public health warnings. And this is mirroring a bunch of things going on with reviving ailing rivers in U.S. cities, from the Charles River in Boston, where occasional city-sanctioned swimming started in 2013, to the concrete-lined Los Angeles River. Really? Now that surprises me. For years, you would look at that thing, and it was so sad. Growing up in Southern California in the San Fernando Valley, and I would look over and I'd see this big concrete chute, just big long trench of just solid concrete. And of course, people would get in there and graffiti it. It looked horrible, just horrible. And in the middle would be this tiny little rivulet of water, tiny. And my dad would go, yeah, that's the Los Angeles River. And I'd look at him and go, what? That's not a river. That's a trickle. Well, there have been efforts underway in recent years to reverse decades of environmental damage along an 11-mile stretch there in Los Angeles. Now, one other interesting thing about that, there's this one stretch of the Los Angeles River that's a, total concrete trench, basically a big, long, concrete, disgusting. Anyway, Café Anyway, they have used it in a lot of movies.
Anyway.
A lot of car racing scenes where there's a car chase going on. They use that because the cars can go up and down on these banks of this concrete thing. And in fact, I was watching a really bad music video that the band Chicago put out in the mid-'80s. It was a song called Stay the Night. And it looks like Peter Cetera is actually doing these stunts. I don't know how they did some of these shots that they did, but Peter Cetera, the former lead singer of Chicago, who had a minor solo career, he's like driving this race car, chasing after this woman that he's in love with, and they're doing all these crazy car stunts, and the police are chasing them. And anyway, Café Anyway, it was shot there.
Anyway,
that's the most recent thing I've seen, but lots of stuff. I know Chips, the TV show Chips, used to film down there. Everybody filmed down there. Somewhere in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles River. Finally, if you've ever witnessed the chaos that happens around cauliflower rice at Trader Joe's, well, you might better understand and even sympathize with the brand's decision to ration this product. Each day, hordes of people clamor to get their hands on the grated veggie. And even the nicest looking people, it seems, will do whatever it takes to claim their rightful bag. Pushing, shoving, passive aggressive looks. The cauliflower rice section has seen it all at Trader Joe's. This according to Food and Wine. Who knew? And then finally, on the opposite end, that's kind of a healthy food. The most unhealthy food, of course, would be a waffle. And apparently, Donnie Wahlberg, the lovely brother and former, well, I guess he's still in the band New Kids on the Block, but he was visiting Charlotte, North Carolina. The brother of Mark Wahlberg visited Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, and I think he's married to or is dating that girl, the one I can't think of, that's always railing against getting your kid vaccinated on The View, the blonde. You know who I'm talking about. Donnie Wahlberg visited Charlotte, North Carolina this week and arrived in a very giving mood. he left a $2,000 tip after a meal at a local Waffle House. He had just landed in Charlotte after a long day of filming Blue Bloods. That's the show he's on. That's the one with Tom Selleck. Posted to his Facebook page early Thursday morning, and he shared a selfie with the smiling Waffle House staff and a nice view of his shocking receipt. And this is, I swear, the last story. Google has finally announced New Release Radio, a station on Google Play Music that provides users with a daily section, a selection of new songs that people may like based on their listening history. The feature has actually been out in the wild for almost a month now, but originally it was positioned as an exclusive for Samsung users, though neither Google nor Samsung made an official announcement. Now Google is saying that it was gathering feedback from Samsung users before officially rolling it out to everyone, but the screenshots clearly called it a Samsung exclusive feature. So it is called New Release Radio. As we go outside a Café Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Yeah, that's the most underwhelming news story. That was not a fine article, that one I just did. Who cares? Who even goes to Google Play? I listen to the show. I listen to my own show just to see if I said anything stupid. And then I laugh and I go, yeah, I did. And then I mostly listen to other people's podcasts, and I listen through Google Play. But you can catch the show on Google Play, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Well, that's the end of the show. Enjoy your Friday. I'll probably do another show on Sunday. You can drop me a line. You can call me at 336-MM-DAILY. You can also email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. And if I said that too fast, Ariel's going to say it again. Next show, it's going to be, and she's going to do it in just a moment, right after I say Shelley Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!
Rivulet.